Thank you all of you for coming in. We will be getting started right at 7:30. Please go ahead and share this out. Go ahead and share, share, share. We will be speaking tonight with Charleston mayoral candidate Clay Middleton. We're going to hear all about him, all that he's done, all that he plans on doing, and he's going to make the case for your vote. So if you are one of the people that have been seeing these signs for these mayoral candidates, for these city council members, you're like, who are these people that are running? This is an opportunity for you to find out who they are. This is one of the candidates, and he is taking the time to come and talk to us tonight. So we want to make sure that we are giving him, you know, a good audience to talk to. Make sure you ask your questions. Make sure you ask your questions. If you have anything that you want to know what his platform is, you want to know specific things. This is the time to ask those questions. This is the time to ask those questions. Go ahead and share it out. We will get started right at 7:30. So we have about 2 minutes, and then we're going to get started. So in this in between time, go ahead and share it out. Tell your friends. ReZsaun is live, and he is talking with a City of Charleston mayoral candidate, Clay Middleton. All right, share, 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 like. Make sure you leave your comments. Give me your heart things. If you have comments, make sure you put them in the comment section. Shoot, if nothing else, in the comment section, let me know who you are and where you listening from, because I don't assume that everybody is hearing the show. So, all right, let's get it.
Great adult children.
Awesome.
He's definitely in the community. He did run for Senate 2 years ago. What?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So he was.
Let's talk about the founding of the Distinguished Gentleman's Club.
Absolutely. So about 8 years ago.
You said you're a mother. So how many children?
I have 5 kids.
Okay.
They started saying that I was their African American, and they got this from our president. They were voted by.
What were you doing when you were young? The first or the second time? The first time.
So I was in and out.
Good. Awesome. So that really is a great place to transition.
And who is sitting across from me or beside me is never going to sway that.
Listen, man. One, I'm not gonna cry on this episode.
Yeah.
I made it through all of these episodes. I think I've cried once in Congress. What are the things that you're most proud of accomplishing? As a congressman and as whip.
Real Talk with ReZsaun.
Yo, hello world, and welcome back to Real Talk with ReZsaun, when nothing's off limits. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with me, and I appreciate that. I am your host, ReZsaun Lewis. Now, here on Real Talk with ReZsaun, everything's debatable. So in any given week, we could be discussing anything from sports to music to politics. You name it, we'll discuss it. In the subject of sports, I am a Niners fan. We just pulled off a win, so go team. For those who are new to the show, Real Talk with ReZsaun has a goal of shining a light on what's happening around the world and the positive people and things that are happening right here in the Low Country and beyond. If you'd like to become a sponsor of Real Talk with ReZsaun Radio, please shoot me an email at realtalkwithrezsaun@gmail.com, and I'll gladly inform you about how you can advertise through this platform. I love supporting small businesses, authors, nonprofits, musical artists, political candidates, and so much more. Allow me to let the world know about you. Tonight, before I get started with the very special interview that I have with a candidate for Charleston, City of Charleston, Mr. Clay Middleton, I wanted to just take a quick second just to give a very brief shout out to a young lady that I got the opportunity to know during my time in the nonprofit sector. For those who know me, you know the work that I do with youth development. When I first got into this around 2016, 2017, I ran into a young lady who told me that she had this academy that was designed to help young people get scholarships to go to college. Her whole life was dedicated to it. She was actually a guidance counselor at Woodland High School, but she had created this book of scholarship offers called PACE Scholarship Academy. And her name was Melinda Milbauer. And yesterday, Sadly, she's no longer with us. She transitioned. So it's with a heavy heart that I want to start today's show with a brief moment of silence for Miss Melinda Milbauer and her family. You are loved, you are appreciated, you are valued, and we're gonna miss the nothing out of you. So thank you, Melinda Milbauer. Moment of silence. All right. So with that being said, today we are talking. We know that it is November's coming up. It is now September 17th, right? So on November 7th, I believe, is the election day. November 7th, we have choices to make. Why do we have choices to make? Because one, the Constitution says so, and it says, you have to actually decide on who gets what positions, by election. I know some people may say that, the elections, you're not elected, you're selected. No. There's actually a thing called the Constitution. No, you actually have to vote in elections, and people actually can win that you may not think are the front runners for winning. And that's why it's important that we platform every single candidate that is willing to give us an opportunity to hear from them. And so I've known of this gentleman for quite a few years now. I actually know of him through his father originally, but we're going to talk a little bit about that. But he is a candidate for the city of Charleston. I want you to give him your eyes, ears, and attention as he speaks. I bring to the stage Mr. Clay Middleton. Thank you so much, Clay.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome, Clay. We're going to get right to it, man. Thank you so much. So please introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, Clay Middleton, born and raised in the city of Charleston, downtown, a place called Bayside Manor. And people used to say nothing good can come out of Bayside Manor. So me and a whole bunch of other folks have been doing all we can to prove people wrong, to show that not only good things, but great things can come out of Bayside Manor. My wife is also from downtown Charleston, and we reside in West Ashley now, where we are raising our two young sons, Jeremiah, who's 8, and Joshua, who is 6.
All right. So thank you for that background. I didn't know you from Bayside, so that's pretty cool. Yeah. I'm from North Charleston. So we're not from Bayside, but were you a Razorback, or were you a Middleton or St. Andrews?
I went to Burke.
You went to Burke. Oh, you're a Bulldog.
Yeah, I went to Burke. I graduated Burke in 1999 and graduated the Citadel in 2003.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a Bulldog through and
nice.
through.
So I'm a North Charleston Cougar, but we're gonna make sure we're gonna keep it on the up and up for the
yes.
For those who aren't from the Charleston area, Burke and North Charleston are a bit of rivals going back quite a few decades.
Yes.
But we got love, Chucktown love for them too.
And I'm also in the South Carolina Army National Guard. Joined the Guard January 6th of 2000 as a private first class. Mm-hmm. And I am now a lieutenant colonel serving as a battalion commander. So very, very grateful and honored. When I joined 23 years ago, the commercial said 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks during the summer.
Yeah.
The 9/11, all of that has changed. So it's been truly an honor to serve in that capacity as well.
Cool. So let's talk through that journey. So you're from Bayside, you graduated from Burke High. Do you go right into college, or did you have a break, or was that always the plan for you to go right in and become a cadet, or how do we decide on that? Yeah,
transition from Burke to the Citadel. Did not have any aspirations of going to the Citadel. I heard a lot of stories about the place, frankly, from just how African Americans were treated on campus, from Charles Foster when he was the first Black cadet to attend and graduate from the Corps of Cadets, and just living in Charleston. Things you heard about how the Citadel started from the Arsenal and from the slave revolt that Denmark Vesey was planning. So just the Citadel was just never something that I thought about, and I knew some people that worked there, knew some folks that were cadets there at the time and graduated. People like Dr. Larry Ferguson, Robert Pickering. So for me, I said, well, let me go ahead and apply. And I was in the Upward Bound program at the College of Charleston. So any college you want to apply to, you had a voucher you received to apply. So I said, why not? So I applied to about 25 schools, and I got accepted to all of them, and the Citadel just happened to be one, and it was a good place to be from, bad place to be at. But in the grand scheme of things, it was a uh, means to an end. So I'm very glad I made that decision.
All right. Well, cool. So thank you. So you go through. You finished. What was your major in at the Citadel?
Political science.
Political science. Nice.
Political science. Yes.
So at the Citadel, what was your like for you when you're at the Citadel? You're young Clay at the Citadel. What is your plan for when you get out? Like, do you plan on like going into the Guard, or do you have a specific job in mind, or?
No, really. In fact, when I joined the Guard in 2000, I wanted to wait until after I was 18. So I graduated again in May of 1999 or June, and then go to the Citadel, and we have to do a ROTC program. So I did that, and then the same recruiter that I heard at Burke for 4 years, so in the first class, Doug Murphy, I heard him for 4 years. Got to the Citadel, he's saying the same thing I heard over the last 4 years. I said, well, either he's a good storyteller or he's really telling the truth.
Right.
So I told him, I said, let me wait. So I turned 18 in November. I said, let's wait until I turn 18, because if I have to ask my mama permission, she might say no. So that's why I joined January 6th. And I was just going to do 6 years. It was called a 4x2 then. You do 4 years and then 2 in the inactive ready reserve. And, things changed. I went on the officer track 2 years into that and was going to go into my officer school after I graduated, and then ended up going to war instead. So after all of that, found myself in Iraq as a second lieutenant, and the rest is history. Stayed in the Guard, and through that time, worked for Congressman Jim Clyburn, interned for him, and interned for Senator Hollings, became a staff assistant for him. Also worked for Inez Tenenbaum and a whole bunch of other great folks. So even then, going into staying in for 23 years was not part of the plan back then. And even this life of politics, of being active to this level and even running for office was something that I thought about, but clearly was not something that I was actively working towards.
Yeah. So you mentioned a lot of your political bona fides, which I really appreciate you bringing to the light as well. So during your time, so you leave the Citadel, you're in the National Guard, you begin working in the offices of Senator Hollings, I still call him Whip Clyburn. I know he's not.
He's Whip.
How did that did you do those things with the mind toward one day I may want to run for office, or was it just you doing your civil duty?
No, listen, how people say I've been in politics since I was 2 years old. As soon as I could walk, I was canvassing, I was knocking on doors, I was making calls. That was not my story. My real involvement became from being at Burke High School. There was a bond referendum while I was a junior. And in the Charleston County School District, the referendum was for all high schools to get a new school and a new gym, except for Burke. So Burke, we were going to get a new school, but not a new gym.
Okay.
So it did not make sense to have a brand new school, and then you go over and have an old gym. So the same way it was raining outside and rain inside, it was still going to continue. So that didn't make any sense. So it was led by students. It was led by the seniors, honestly, and the student body president at the time led the effort to engage students, faculty, and staff. Again, students, we can't vote, but our parents, our guardians, community, adults can. So we were advocating vote no for this bond referendum. Voting no would mean that it would fail because it was not an equitable bond referendum.
Mm.
So we prevailed. It failed. A new bond came about that included a new school and a new gym for Burke, as well as it did not take anything away from the other schools. In fact, the bond referendum was less the second time around, and it included, as I said, a school and a gym for Burke. And Burke, at the time, still remains the case, is the only majority Black high school on the peninsula.
Mm.
So it was not equitable from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're glad that the second one passed. And at that moment, I said, well, I'm going to be a senior soon. And I ran for senior class president. I'm sorry, student body president.
Mhm.
And that allowed me an opportunity to not only have a seat at the table, but also to make sure that not only my classmates, but all students had a seat at the table. In order, whether it was with the school board, whether it was the PTO, whether it was just being out there active in the community. A lot of people want to talk about what students need and want, but don't ask the students what they need and want and to be engaged. So that's where my involvement started. I mean, even when I interned and did other stuff in high school and activities throughout Charleston, it was that. So fast forward, had an opportunity to intern for Senator Hollings while I was a cadet at the Citadel in DC. So I did that, later became a staff assistant with him. And again, it was just being in the moment and was preparing myself for something. So when opportunities came, we were able to take advantage of that. After that, in fact, I was in Senator Hollings' office. Inez Tenenbaum, who was the superintendent of education at the time, was in the lobby, was talking to her, and she said, you know, when you get done with this, you know, give me a call. We'd love to have you come to my office at Columbia. Okay. And I did. And she and her team responded. And then interned for at that time, Congressman Jim Clyburn, and there was already relationships there. He's known me for when I was in high school. So intern for him, was not looking to work for him. And he told me about a month before I graduated from the Citadel, well, what's next? I said, well, I start my officer school in September. Yeah, so I'm going to be a college student from the time I graduated the Citadel until then. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to travel and just chill out. And he said, well, that sounds nice. Well, you graduate on a Saturday. I expect you to be in the office Monday morning. I guess I'll be working for the congressman.
Right.
And that, again, I'm glad that opportunity presented itself. So.
For sure. I love that. And thank you for sort of walking us down that journey, because that's really important to know. So I guess my question would be, you've got that experience on multiple levels of government, as an intern and as an employee. I'm working, on Capitol Hill, I'd imagine, with Representative Clyburn. What made you have the passion for running for mayor of Charleston?
My sophomore year at Burke, I shadowed Mayor Rowley, and it was part of a program that they did with the Chamber of Commerce and others where you just shadowed various people. So I had the opportunity to shadow Mayor Rowley because there were people that saw something in me regarding political elected office. So he said to me in his office, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, well, I want to be sitting right where you are, because I thought that was, what I was supposed to say. And nonetheless, I always thought about that. And then when you look at my career, starting out at the federal level, again, working for a member of Congress, working for President Barack Obama, active in several political campaigns, whether it was the Obama campaign in 08, whether it was the Clinton campaign in 16, Cory Booker, even now the Biden-Harris transition team, and even worked for the city of Charleston. Like normally you start out local and go federal.
Right.
For me, I started local
right.
in activities, but my profession, my tax returns had federal and then came down to local. So for me, it was about where can you make the most immediate impact, where the buck stops with you, where you could affect the daily lives of people for the better right now. And I kept going back to being mayor. Being mayor. I saw up close and personal from, like most of us did, Mayor Riley be mayor for 40 years, the good, the bad. I just saw that. I'm a product. I tell you, I'm the product of Charleston. I'm 41 years old. I'm the product of what planning has happened, what didn't happen, life after gentrification. I'm the product of all of that. And for me, it always boiled down to knowing you don't need to be an elected official to make a difference. You just need to have the willingness to serve people. That has always been me. Before social media, we've been in the vineyard doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
So being mayor was always attractive because I just saw firsthand the impact from Mayor Riley. I saw firsthand the impact of those that ran for mayor in the city of Charleston throughout that time. Steve Benjamin, when he became mayor of Columbia, first African-American mayor of Columbia, our state's capital. And I saw how Steve just transformed the mayor's office and the impact he made when it came to education, when it came to business, when it came to community. Man, I love Steve. Now, full disclosure, he's my cousin. So, he got to love me too. But outside of that, just to see what he did and to really think about, if you want to make an impact as an elected official, being mayor of your hometown, a place that reared you, a place that where people invested in you. That's why I got into this race, and that's why we are seeking this mantle of leadership.
Yeah, thank you for that. That definitely shines a great light on your motivations there. Let me ask you this. You mentioned, Mayor Benjamin of Columbia, and there's also been several, especially in the city of North Charleston, there's a lot of people running for mayor who are also happen to be African Americans as well. Yeah. What, as mayor, do you think you can make the most impact on in the most immediate rate? Because a lot of people, when they talk about running, when they talk about voting, a lot of people stay away from voting because they're like, well, none of that's going to change my life. But they don't understand, the changes that a mayor can make on a local level. So can you talk about, if you're elected mayor, some of the changes that you would like to see made?
My presence changes the conversation. I don't have to recuse myself of a pending deal or a future deal. I can be an independent voice for all of Charleston. Clay Middleton is not for sale. And if I'm not for sale, that means Charleston is not for sale. My value set is very, very clear. I don't need a history lesson about this part of town, that part of town. I don't need a study to tell me what the problems are and the solutions. The pure fact that me being mayor of the largest city in the state of South Carolina with nearly a $300 million budget, the CEO of the city, the pure fact that we have influence and direct power regarding our budget, which will reflect our values, where we invest, where we grow, where we develop, how we prepare our people, not just one segment, but all parts, all that changes the game. To challenge assumptions, and when people listen, for some of these folks, and I used to listen, I government can work for people. I've seen it. I've been part of government working for people when I worked for Congressman Jim Clyburn, when I worked for President Barack Obama at 3 agencies. I know, and when I even worked for the city of Charleston. So I'm very clear at how government can work. And we've seen it play out now in the current administration. So for me, this is personal. Me being mayor says, oh boy, the people that have been used to getting their way, the people that have been used to rationing progress would no longer be able to do that, because we would have someone that is independent, unbought, focused, determined, and conscious being mayor. I'm not going to put one part of the city against another, because I truly believe we are one Charleston, not just when it's convenient, but one Charleston. Each part of our community have different needs. Therefore, we have to address those needs so that is equitable, not selective. So instantly, I come into this hitting the ground running. And when someone come in and says something to me, listen, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's Mountain Dew. Okay. That dog ain't going to hunt.
Right.
When it comes to some things people have been used to getting away with.
Okay. All right. So if you were to say the top 2 areas that Charleston has to change, Mayor Clay Middleton becomes mayor, what are the first 2 initiatives that Clay Middleton is going to attack? Mayor Middleton.
The first thing I would do, I'm answering the question differently. The first thing I would do as mayor is have an audit. You need a financial audit, so you know, not only you, but the public know what's coming in and what's going out, so you know what your obligations are. Also, as mayor, we would be more intentional as it relates to public education and making sure that there are no low-performing schools in our community, that our community centers are extensions of learning, because right now, that's not the case. You look at some of our community centers, and we don't need to, you can just guess which ones are not adequate in the year 2023. You can guess what playgrounds do not have the right equipment. You can just guess where it floods in communities on one side of the street, and across the street, it does not. So when you change what young people see every single day, and you provide those positive reinforcements, you change the future, you change their trajectory. The other thing, as mayor, especially now, because of the bipartisan infrastructure law that exists, you have 25, that's $1.2 trillion. There's 25 competitive grants that municipalities can apply for right now. This is not a pass-through the state. This is directly to the federal government at various agencies. We would start applying for those resources so we can address issues that we have not regarding flood mitigation, energy efficiency, reconnecting communities, and providing better roads and safe modes of transportation for people to travel. And when you think about climate, under the Inflation Reduction Act, you have over $300 billion worth of resources for municipalities to apply for to really combat climate change at the local level. We haven't applied for any of it. So as mayor, we would instantly look at the federal resources that exist, and we would instantly leverage that in the philanthropic community in order to address some of our systemic problems. So as mayor, instantly we do all those things, and that will enable us to address the issues that are always the case. The lack of inventory regarding housing, whether you call it affordable, attainable, or workforce, everyone deserve more than a decent place and a safe place to call home. Making sure that our kids know that their city is going to bet on them and educate them and be a partner with the school district in doing that. And making sure that the income level, we can lead this as a city to making sure that the lowest paid employee has a living wage, not just a minimum wage. And the living wage in our area is a little over $19 an hour. Imagine if the city says we're going to pay those on the lowest end of our pay scale a living wage. What if we say we are going to make sure that those that call their employer the city of Charleston, that you could live in the city limits and not drive until you could afford? What if we apply those same values to the private sector that want to come here and stay here? We have to address this, not so much at the 50,000 feet level. We have to address these problems in a practical, operational manner, because it is dealing with the now and having a now agenda in order for us to have a better future for a generation yet born.
Absolutely.
Those are the things that we would certainly be aggressive in addressing on day one. Because all of those things we have been talking about, and much more we've been talking about since we started this campaign last May. And when we win this election, we instantly shift gears to a transition team where you do your SWOT analysis of each department and you lay out what you would do the first 100 days, 6 months, etc., until you are able to control that budget. Because we're on the budget I would inherit is going to be approved the end of this year. So by doing the audit after we are sworn in and doing the things that I've outlined so far, we can then be able to jumpstart a participatory budget process where we engage the citizens of Charleston on where we should invest, how our budget should reflect the needs of the community. Again, I don't have to recuse myself of anything. My stakeholders are the people of Charleston, whether you voted for me or not. But I am not going to be serve at the pleasure of the quote unquote long-standing stakeholders.
And I understand what you for sure. And thank you for saying that and being very, very clear about that. Absolutely. I do want to ask you one more topic before we start to wrap up. Downtown Charleston has, especially downtown Charleston area, crime is a thing, right? And it's something that we haven't been able to fully wrap our minds around. Can you speak to what your plan as mayor would be in terms of stemming the crime that happens, not just on the peninsula, but also West Ashley and the surrounding areas as well?
It's more accountability, and it's having police officers. Listen, several friends of mine are on the force and retired from the force. So for me, in my conversation with them, it's been a manpower issue. We need to have police officers that live in the communities that they're serving and protecting. Regardless of the part of the city you're in, you dial 911, you want help to arrive, and you don't want help to be delayed because of a particular area that you live in. And you also don't want overreaction taking place either because of the area that you are in or because of who is making the call for help. So there were several things I would do as mayor, and even right now, the city of Charleston is going through the process of hiring a new chief of police, and I would suspect that person would be hired before November 7th. But regardless of that, having that kind of relationship with the police chief, but more importantly, with all of the men and women that put their lives on the line every day for you and I, police officers would not have to worry about where their mayor stands on protecting them and fighting for them as well. Making sure that that respect is to all citizens as well, so that we have more police officers in the right places. That when you think about mental health, that we have mental health care professionals that are part of the police department. Right now, that department is not staffed at the level that it should be. And also, I would have a police accountability office within the mayor's office, so that if there are issues that take place, it's not being investigated by the police department, but it's being investigated by the city of Charleston through the mayor's office and others. That is how you have the trust, faith, and confidence of all citizens, people that look like you and I and our kids, and people that look the opposite.
Yeah.
That are older, that are younger. Doesn't matter. You dial 911, you want help. And for me, our public safety and accountability, again, we show that based on who we hire, based on where they live, and how we engage with the public 365 days a year, not just when it's convenient.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Yeah, definitely. That's something, both of us being from the area, we both understand, one, that if you want to find like the areas that have the highest crime, normally you have the areas, they're also the areas with the worst economies for the people that live there. So like to be able to stem the economic issues will definitely do a lot of work towards, mitigating some of the crime. But that relationship between the police force and the people who they serve is definitely a big key part. So I'm glad to hear that that's part of your platform. I did want to ask you about, because I'm looking through your X account, which used to be Twitter. I don't know what they call them, X's. Yeah. But you've gotten support from some pretty heavy hitters. So I see Hillary Clinton just shouted you out 2 days ago. Yeah. Cory Booker, of course, Representative Clyburn, which you mentioned. Can you sort of talk about how you've been able to develop such a broad swath of support, not just here in the Low Country, but beyond as well?
Well, it's just the relationships. And when you do good work for people and they know your heart and they see something in you, they support that. And more importantly, I'm very grateful and humbled to have that kind of public support from those public servants, as well as organizations like Collective PAC and Vote Vets and Run for Something in the ILA, Local 1422. The people of Charleston is the endorsement I'm going after. It is the person that felt and continues to feel that their city has alienated them, that their city has had a lot of progress, but they have not been part of that progression. That's the endorsement I am seeking. It is from those folks that are new to our community, who are looking for something new, those that have been here for a long time, that are saying, if you like what you got, Clay is not your person. It's the people. That's the endorsement I'm seeking. And I think those other endorsements help. It provides greater visibility to the campaign. People are curious. Well, if they're supporting him, if these organizations, these individuals are supporting him, well, what is he talking about? He must be going to do something different. He must have some kind of leadership capability, some experience, some executive level of getting things done, some record of doing things in the community and engaging with a diverse group of people and stakeholders for them to say, this is the person that I have trust, faith, and confidence to lead the citizens of Charleston. So that has helped people say, all right, now I'm paying attention. Now I'm listening. So that when I talk about local issues, when I talk about solutions, when I hear from people and say to them, if they ask me a question, say, you know what, I hadn't heard about that one. I'm comfortable saying what I don't know. Because I know that together we can solve any problem that is before us. So having that support is great. It's helping me get the support of those that can vote for me, and having the support of the ILA, for instance. I mean, to have the longshoremen to say that we are with Clay is very, very good, very, very humbling to have. To have the support of others that we will be announcing, of current local elected officials and former elected officials and stakeholders and community leaders and people who are leaders, centers of influence, I call them, in their area, who are not on social media, but they are doing the work at the local level, at the bedrock level, who say, I am with you. It's like, that's when you know you're doing something right.
When you want. Yeah, I love that. I love that. So I guess from there, I would say, you know, I like what you stand for. I like what I'm hearing, and it's good to hear. It's refreshing to hear, you know, candidates who do, one, you know, understand what the reality is on the ground level. A lot of people, you know, don't, and that makes it difficult for the people to actually represent you if you can't represent somebody if you don't understand what's going on right around them on an everyday basis. So, you know, I like I said, I've known of you for years. We've met several times, and I've always been a fan of what you've done. So continue to do what you do. Your dad, Mr. Clay, I got to shout out Mr. Clay, Henry Clay Middleton, who is an amazing man, father, husband, and director, and
actor,
was my
writer.
Dad. He was my dad in Fences, in the Dock Street, in the Moja Arts Festival production of Fences. So shout out to Mr. Clay for who he is.
Because that makes you my other brother.
Yes, that makes us the other brothers. Absolutely, I'm here for it. Just invite me to the next family reunion. I'll But in closing, I want to give you an opportunity to sort of make your, you know, final call to the people of Charleston. Why should they vote for you? Why are you the person to vote for on November 7th?
If you like what you got, I'm not your person. If you want a show horse, I'm not your person. If you like minimum standards and thinking that is excellent work, I'm not your person. But if you want a workhorse, I have something tangible to offer. If you are ready to elevate your thinking, elevate what we can do as a community, I have something tangible to offer. We could create a city that works for everyone. Each of us could be a new brick in an old foundation. We could actually solve systemic problems so that a generation yet born will inherit something worth fighting for and not look back and say, why did they do this? We have an opportunity to elect someone that is conscious, to elect someone that's going to bring back some vision and bold, strong servant leadership to City Hall. Imagine a world-class city where you have no low-performing schools, where public transportation stigma is removed and everyone has access and affordability to housing, to economic mobility. We have an opportunity in this election. Again, if you like what you got, I'm not your person. But if you're ready for something new, not just for something new, but ready for something bold, ready to move forward, ready to have a city that works for everyone, When I joined the military 23 years ago, part of the soldier's creed said, I will not leave a fallen comrade behind. And I've taken that to heart in Iraq, took it to heart in Poland, Lithuania, Turkey, even on the Mexico-Arizona border. And as mayor of the city of Charleston, I would do everything in my power not to leave any community, any neighborhood, or any resident behind. Too much is at stake for us to settle. This is personal for me. I want the same thing for my two boys as you do for your kids, your grandkids, your neighbors, your nieces and nephews, the same thing. We are going to be as intentional and not leaving anyone out as others have been and leaving others out. So if given the honor and privilege to serve as your next mayor, as our next mayor, I promise you, it will be a decision you will not regret, and it will be an opportunity for us to do some great things. So thank you again for this chance.
No problem. No problem. You made a great case. If they want to follow you on social media, keep up to your exes and all of that, how can they find you?
Clay Middleton on X, on Instagram, Clay Middleton. Website, www.claymiddleton.com. Join us. If you're ready to canvas, get your steps in, join us. If you can't canvas with us, you can make calls. You got virtual phone bank as well. If you want to make a contribution, go to the website. That's the first thing that's going to come up. You can donate there, or just hit the X and say, I'm ready to scrap up and get to walking. So thank you so much, ReZsaun, for this opportunity. And thank you for what you do to have this platform in a positive light, give people an opportunity to make their case, but also giving people an opportunity to share the work that they're doing. So thank you for that and what you do in your 9 to 5 with youth development and mentoring, as well as what you do as a husband and a father.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot. And definitely, should you become mayor, there's definitely a discussion we have to have about the youth development section of.
I would even say this. Even if I come in second, and I tell people this when, whether I go to someone's church or engage in an organization, I said, listen, you want to talk to me because I'm running. In some cases, that's the only reason why some groups want to hear what I have to say. But even if we come in second, my commitment of public service is not going to waver at all.
Yeah.
In fact, that is one of the reasons why things that we're saying over and over again. Because if we do come in second, the next mayor is going to have to do the things that we're saying.
Yeah.
I just believe I could do a better job at implementing those things.
Yeah. As you should.
Yeah.
As you should. I do have a question. I got a question from the audience, so I'll make sure I ask before we get out of here. It's specific to, you mentioned the chief of police position, which, another, rest in peace to Chief Luther Reynolds, was an amazing man, amazing civil servant, amazing officer. Just rest in peace. But we do have to fill that position. Mr. Spates is asking, do you support Chief Walker as the replacement for Chief Reynolds?
I do. And I'll take it a step further. It's a tragedy. It's sad of what happened to Chief Reynolds. If I were mayor, I would have put my arms around him and said, Chief, I know you want to serve because your heart is there. Let us, the citizens of Charleston, give you your flowers while you are still with us. Imagine if we had given Chief Reynolds his flowers when he was here, made him an administrator in order to help with the transition. I think it was a mistake to have 3 deputy chiefs 3 deputy chiefs when Chief Reynolds was fighting cancer and battling for his life. I think that was a mistake. It should have been 1 deputy that would have been the interim. And then when the chief came back to work, monitor the progress, but put your arms around him and say, we want to give you your flowers while you are with us. So I'm glad that interim chief Walker is one of the 5 finalists. As I said, I would suspect that a decision is going to be made of who the next chief would be before the November 7th election. And based on what I know Chief Walker. And I'm hoping interim is removed from his title and that he would be the next chief of police in the city of Charleston. The mayor will make that decision along with input from others. But to directly answer the question, the answer is 100% yes.
Thank you for that. And I also just want to again point out the refreshing nature of somebody being willing to answer a question like that. A lot of people would have tried to, do the political dance around it. But I think, again, it's good. It's just refreshing to hear people that want to answer questions that the public has. So thank you for that. And Mr. Spades is also satisfied with the answer that you provided. So thank you, Mr. Middleton, Clay. I think you did a great job representing yourself and providing your platform to the people of Charleston. You do have a decision to make on November 7th. Early voting starts when? When does early voting start?
October 23rd.
October 23rd. So October 23rd, City of Charleston, you have the opportunity to make a choice. Between now and then, I'm going to say with Clay on the call right now, I am opening the door to any candidate who is running to come on here and make your case. The people who you are asking for your votes should hear you asking for their vote. They shouldn't have to go to your website. They shouldn't have to go. They should find you saying your words somewhere, whether it be here or on another platform. There's a lot of places that are looking for your support. I can tell you from personal standpoint, if I, as a voter and a voting member, even if I'm not in that area, if I go to a community forum that is held for mayoral candidates or candidates for a city or elected a position, and you can't show up for those, I can't show up for you in November. I cannot. And I cannot suggest that people do. So I would suggest that those of you who say you want these elections, you want these votes, make sure you're finding your way onto these platforms, make sure that you're answering questions that people in the public have for you, because your sign won't do it. Your sign won't do it. All right. Thank you for that. I will be interviewing another mayoral candidate, actually Mika Gadsden, who's Clay's opponent, but we're not adversarial here. We just all running on the same track, trying to get to the finish line. So she is Clay's opponent. She will be on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. We will be also asking her. We're going to get to know her. She's going to answer questions. We're going to ask her about her platform. And if you are a person who's running for office, you're running for any office that is upcoming, that is up for election on November 7th, come on here, reach out to me, www.realtalkrezsaun.com, or email me at realtalkrezsaun@gmail.com. I will bring you on here. I'm also going to do on October 21st, I'm doing a forum, a special elections special. Everyone who I have not interviewed up until that point, and even if you want to come back, so Clay, if you want to come back on October 21st, I am going to have time slots from 7 until 9:30 p.m. And for 15 to 20 minutes, I am having everyone who wants to come on, who is running for office, to come on so that you, the voter, can hear from them. I'm opening the door to everybody. Republicans, Democrats, Green Party, Teen Party. I'm not blocking you out. But you got to make sure that you are positioning yourself to be heard from. Thank you so much to Clay for being here. He gave us his website, www.claymiddleton.com. Follow him, he said, on X, Clay in Middleton. And you can find him there. If you have any questions, he seems to be an open book and willing to answer. If you want to canvas for him, knock doors, you want to donate, go to his website, check him out. Thank you, Clay. And with that being said, in closing, Always remember that it is, in the words of the late, great Frederick Douglass, it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. My question for you is always, what are you building? What are you building? I will see y'all on Thursday. God bless you and talk to you soon. Peace out. Where is my exit music?